You are logged on and listening to the Computer Corner Show, brought to you by Computer Corner, your local resource for computer hardware, software, services, and training since 1983. Computer Corner is high-tech with a human touch. This is Phil Shortell, your host and lead instructor at Computer Corner, and with me here today are both the owners of Computer Corner, Carole and Joe Petronovich, and good morning to both of you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Hey, if you're ardent about archiving, you're active with Access, or you have antipathy to antivirus software, we're here today to talk to you about that.
We do appreciate you listening today. It's always our goal to give meaningful information to everyone who does listen. It's just something to make their computer lives a little bit easier.
And you know we all need our computer lives to be a little bit easier.
Yeah, indeed.
Hey, you can always come see us at Computer Corner. We're located at 3101 Menaul Northeast, about 2 blocks west of Carlisle.
And you can call Computer Corner at 881-2333. We are open today until 5 p.m. And Monday through Friday, we're open from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. for service and sales. Our customers are people like you listening to the show. You may be a home user, a business owner, or you might work for a government agency. All these entities are Computer Corner customers. As a full-service computer store, we offer sales, service, training, and we sell all the major brands as well as our own trademarked computer system, the Equus computer, that is built to order just for you. I want to talk for just a few minutes about how Computer Corner actually began. My husband and business partner, who's sitting right next to me today, Joe, is an engineer and has always tinkered with things.
Probably sometimes when you didn't want him to.
Right.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many extra parts we found, after he's taken apart the vacuum cleaner.
That's a good engineer when you have extra parts left over.
Yeah.
Right, sure. And Joe's actually even held a few patents. So way back in the early 1980s, he was building TVs for friends and family members. Even
I had an
before that.
interview with a company called Mitz Altair in Albuquerque. They had a dream of building personal computers at that time, and I just thought they were nuts.
So did everybody else, so don't worry about it.
Right. So keep in mind that this dates back to a time when people used typewriters and word processing machines.
An abacus, or would it be abaci?
Abacuses?
Yeah, I think it'd be abaci, right?
Yeah. So way back then, of course, no one had a computer. Even accountants kept their books in handwritten ledgers. I mean, that's how far back this goes.
We used to always get a magazine in the mail that was from Heathkit.
Yeah, I remember that.
You could make your own ham radio sets, instruments, color TVs, radios,
Crystal radios.
training material like crazy on how to become proficient in electronics. And then one day this catalog showed up on how to build your own personal computer, and I fell in love with this thing.
Of course. And of course, this is still in the 1980s, the very early 1980s, and there was no such thing as Microsoft DOS or Windows, of course. But Joe bought this computer kit. We actually had one of the very first personal computers probably on the planet, and it ran an operating system called CPM. That computer, let me just tell you, it cost a fortune.
Well, and the reason we bought it from Heathkit was I could finance it.
Yeah.
And
I had forgotten that.
That's how I got started. But one of the things that turned me on about this particular computer, called the Zenith Z100, or the Heathkit part number, the H100, was the fact that it had dual processors in it, an 8088 for the MS-DOS side, or just DOS at that time, and an 8080 processor for the CPM side. CPM standing for Control Program from Microsoft.
Yeah, sometime we ought to get into a discussion. I think we did it on the show maybe 10 years ago about CPM, what happened with them.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting story, but not for today.
Not today, nope. So our first computer had no hard drive at all. It had 2 floppy drives. One was the boot disk with CPM on it, and the other would store data. The screen was black with green type, and it's hard to even imagine this if you didn't see it. Most of you probably have seen that, but there was no graphical interface at all. Only text was available, so even games were all text-based.
Yeah.
There was no such thing as Microsoft Office yet, but you could get a spreadsheet program like VisiCalc. If any of you remember VisiCalc, the very expensive program WordStar as the word processor.
When the company that Carole and I worked for, GTE Lenkert, started to lay people off, Carole started doing resumes for her friends and coworkers on our computer. And then these people started asking to get a computer for themselves. So that's when we started building them for them.
And then one fateful day, I came home from work and Joe was soldering computer components together on our hardwood dining room
I know you've told me
table.
that before, privately.
Soldering
Yeah.
on my hardwood dining room table. That's when I put my foot down for sure. He either had to give up this hobby or we had to start a business. Actually, by that time, I'd taken literally boatloads. I guess not literally, but I'd
Well, it depends on the
taken-
size of the boat.
I had taken boatloads of business and accounting classes at UNM, and I was pretty sure we were prepared to open a business.
We both quit our good paying jobs with major national companies, drove around one Sunday looking for a retail space to rent, and within a week, we opened Computer Corner.
Actually, before we opened Computer Corner, I went to the library and I studied marketing and advertising. And I say the library, yes, because there was no such thing as the World Wide Web, of course, because it hadn't been invented yet. But my research at the library is what led us to name our company Computer Corner. I hope our name tells what we do and also sounds friendly and not too technical.
Yeah, so in 1983, Computer Corner was born, and the first store was on the corner of San Mateo and Catherine, about a whopping 950 square feet.
And today we have over 10,000 square feet to work in, and Computer Corner has the largest computer showroom in the state. We've sold over 90,000 of our trademark Equus computer systems, most of which are still being built by Joe to this day, by the way. And Computer Corner is also the largest independent reseller of HP computers in the state. So we've survived all the comings and goings of many national chains like CompUSA, which, by the way, was based in Mexico,
That's
not the USA.
Not New Mexico.
Not New Mexico, Mexico. And I always had a problem with them calling themselves CompUSA. Anyway, so we survived them and Circuit City and so many more. Just amazing.
Johanna, thanks for calling, Johanna. What can we do for you today?
Good morning.
Good morning.
It was interesting to go back in time. I did buy my one Equus that I bought from you when you were at Catherine's. And that's the one that I gave back to you a year or so ago.
It was a 286, right?
Uh-huh. And I also bought, I don't know, maybe a dozen or so, I don't know, of the Equises through purchase orders from when I was working at Sandia.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
The other thing is I still have my Kromenko Z80 rack mount chassis with a dual 5 1/4 inch floppy and either a 1 or 10 megabyte hard drive that was 8-inch and had a dark plastic cover over it.
I'm afraid that the people in the studio here remember all of those things, Johanna.
Very true. Very true.
I do.
Anyway, my problem is I'd like to know what your opinions are between the safety of allowing MS Edge to store and recall my passwords versus Kaspersky's password manager.
That's an interesting question. I don't have any information that letting Edge do it or Chrome do it is a danger to you. Although we're going to talk about that if we a little bit later about stuff that is being collected by Chrome and probably Microsoft Edge. I use a password manager myself. It's not Kaspersky, but it's another one, and I don't think I'd worry about it too much, Johanna, unless you still have nuclear secrets on your computer. Do you? Have nuclear
Still have
secrets. You worked at the lab, so you could have had nuclear secrets on your computer.
Oh, hell no.
Well, that's really it. I don't think I worry about it too much because, and we're going to talk about that later probably. If somebody really wants it, they're going to get it. We'll talk to you more about that. But I would not have a fear myself of storing things in Edge or in Chrome, although I do use something separate from that for my own use.
Well, I'm trying to find the ability to be able to copy and move the favorites file from one computer to put it on all of my computers. Driving me a little bit batty.
Well, that should come, when you put up the other program on the other computer, they should have stored your favorites in their cloud, and that should just happen. Joe, do you have another idea about that?
I don't. That makes sense.
Yeah. I know with Chrome, I have gone from computer to computer and reloaded my favorites from Google.
And that's the purpose of the
Right.
Oh, okay, I was playing around while we were talking. I tried to create a new password and vault with Kaspersky's, and it asked me to put in a password, and I put in one that was fairly awkward to type.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that 3 times, and I would never accept it. I'm a little bit stupid, I guess.
We don't think so, Johanna.
Not at all. So there's probably some rules about the password type or a format that you might not know. I know that sometimes you log onto a site and you type in a password that should be perfectly fine, and you discover that you can't use you can't use a number, or you can't use a character or something like that. And then others require it.
In the screen asking to choose a master password, it says password is not specified.
I think we're going to have to do a little research on Kaspersky Password Manager, Johanna, and
Okay.
Do me a favor. Would you send us an email to radioshow@compcorner.com so we make sure we have your email address, and when we do that little research, we will get directly back to you.
Radio show at Comp Corner. Okay.
Radio Show Comp Corner. Thank you, Johanna, and thank you so much for listening, and thank you for calling, Johanna. We really appreciate you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Johanna has been a customer for almost as long as we've been in business, and we do appreciate that very much.
George, thank you for waiting. You're on the air. What can we do to help your computing life today?
Also work at GTE Linkert before it closed down.
You did?
Yes, ma'am.
What department did you work in?
I was testing the boards on the swing shift after I got out at the TVI. I'd go to work over there till 12:30.
Interesting.
Department 360.
I guess. I don't know.
Joe and I even remember some of the part numbers on the products there. It's insane.
But I have an easy question
Okay.
or problem. I have an HP computer that I occasionally go out and I'll download some streaming audio on it, or I've been trying to go and convert some cassettes, which is real old also, but they're quarter speed from a radio show that's still on the air, but different host and that. And my problem is I was using Audacity, I guess that's the right word,
Yeah, it is.
and then the program called Easy H High Q Recorder, either one of those programs, and you would have to select whether you're coming from the stereo mixer or the line in. Well, the last time I used to do a cassette, I used the line-in function on the recording card, selecting that, and I could record. And since, and this has been about 2 months ago, since that time, Microsoft has done their upgrade. I went in and I updated the drivers from Realtek for the machine, and I got line in and line out, but on both Audacity and the HQ recorder, the volume, there's no volume showing recording, like on a meter.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you checked going into the down on the bottom right corner of your screen to the icon showing the speaker?
Right.
Right click on that and go into recording devices and make sure everything is showing correctly set up?
Yep.
You're not alone in having problems after Microsoft updates. There are people across the globe really having problems, and sometimes they're all unique. We had a problem just this last week when there was a Microsoft update. Our server locked up. We had to reboot our server. And I knew what happened right away because my computer at home showed that an update had happened. So we knew what had happened. And we have lots of customers that have had problems directly after an update.
I rebooted, so...
George, is this?
Okay.
Do you have Windows 7?
No, I'm on 10.
The updates are causing me, and as Carole just said, her and Computer Corner as a whole, trouble almost every time they come in. Something doesn't work the same way or stops working.
Especially older devices, they're not including the support for some of those things. So I think that might be part of what's happening for you. Joe, is there any way he can roll back?
Well, what I was going to suggest, and it was going to be easier with Windows 7, was to force it into safe mode. There's no real easy way to do that with 10, although, yes, you can get into safe mode, but it's a bear to do it. What I'm suggesting is just get into Control Panel and completely uninstall everything associated with your sound card.
Okay.
Then boot up, but have the CD for your motherboard ready or that driver again from Realtek, not the Microsoft driver. That's what's messed you up.
I prefer the Realtek because I've gone out to the site and downloaded it down. I'll just go and put it on.
Yeah.
Drive, or I even have portable hard drives.
Good. That's all you need to do, and I think it'll come back.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for your call, George. We appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Bye.
James just called. And James, you're on the air. How can we help?
Hi, guys and gal. Do you have a favorite auto-save software package that I can use with my 3 terabyte? I'm not a cloud kind of guy. I save things on a separate drive, and I also clone my drive every other week. So is there... Seagate has one that comes with it, but
Right.
it's rather unwieldy. So.
Well, most of them were. We bought a Drobo several years ago, and it came with a piece of software that had a 6-month subscription on it, and then you had to buy it after that, and then that part of that business went out of business. So we're just at the point now where we just manually force everything to be saved to the Drobo rather than automatic. I haven't looked into anything new because most of them went away. I don't know of any of them that do it anymore because they're all forcing everybody to the cloud.
With all that I have on my documents files, and then I have to go in and worry about saving my emails, and it was all done automatically, but it was just such an unwieldy thing to try to get something back out of. So the answer is there is no good software package out there anymore.
Well, as it is our custom to do, we did a little research. We came up with a few things, and the one I'm looking at right now is an article from PC Magazine. And PC Magazine is recommending Acronis True Image. Didn't have the time to go through all the different things, but they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things up there that they're rating, and Acronis True Image, which goes for $49.99. They give it the highest.
Well, isn't that funny? I just bought their whole package because for 10 years I told you I have 2 drives,
right.
And I clone A to B, B to A, back and forth. So if something happens, then I just disconnect it because I haven't set external. But I just bought their whole package. It has $49 for everything.
Very nice.
So if that's in there, I will give it a shot. I never even thought of that.
Yeah.
Never looked at it either.
Yeah, and
Right?
I've heard about it, and frankly, I've heard about it in positive ways. I haven't heard people telling me stay away from Acronis. So give it a shot. I think that's going to help you.
Yeah, because as we well know, and your engineer is there, if a power supply blows and it eats your drive, it's not the storage of the data that matters so much. It takes me a day and a half to reload all my software.
Oh.
So if you clone a drive, A to B, I have 2 1 terabytes, and then a 3 that's external. I just go A to B, B to A to B, and if something happens, which does happen once in a while, I just put the other drive on, and I'm maybe a week behind at the most.
That's exactly what we do at home, and that's why we're still on Windows 7 at home, because I can still use the old version of Ghost. And once a week, we change out or clone the drives A to B, and then flip them, and then the one takes a rest for a week, and we work off the other one.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Chip, thank you for calling. What can we do for you?
Yes, sir. I'm like you. I don't want to go to System 10. I've used 7 since it's come out, and lately I've been getting a message that says it's not genuine, and I haven't done anything different, and I can't seem to get it off the computer that way. Is there a fix for that? Or
When you get into Control Panel and go to System, it says it's inactive?
No, I keep getting a message that pops up that stops everything I'm doing, and it says your operating system is not genuine.
But if you go into Control Panel and it does say it's activated, then you've got some malware. If in Control Panel under System Properties, it tells you that it is inactive, it's not registered, and then just take out your number and put it back in again. But I suspect you have some malware.
Well, that's good. So it's that simple. I've tried to go online, and it just wouldn't.
Oh, you're not going to get anywhere going online looking for that thing.
Yeah.
If you still have the serial number, but only if under Control Panel System Properties it says it's inactive, that's when you can do that. But if it says it's active there, you've got malware.
So you might want to download and run. There's a free version of Malwarebytes. You can do that, or you can buy the full version. So I would download that at least for the free trial period, which I think is 2 weeks. You can run that. There's also a free trial of Hitman Pro that you can download and run, and I would suggest both those things as well.
Yeah.
It just interrupts everything I do about every 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, give those things a shot. All of us here, and I guess almost everybody at Computer Corner, runs Hitman Pro and Malwarebytes on their home machines.
Well, home and business.
Home and business, yes,
Right.
of course.
All the time.
Okay?
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the call, Chip. Bye-bye. Speaking of things that go wrong, we are always talking about privacy and security for people while they're surfing the web. Yet many people seem surprised when there's been a breach of their security, when passwords are stolen, which is what we were just talking about there with Johanna, too, and data is compromised. But the reality is everything you do on the web can and is being traced.
Even if you're browsing incognito, data is being collected on you all the time. The data comes from the searches that you perform, from your Facebook page and your posts, and even the websites that you land on.
Yep.
So we've mentioned before that the NSA, of course, has a backdoor into all computers, Apples or PCs. So if they want info on you, they can get it for sure.
Yeah.
Services such as those from Facebook and Apple that are supposedly free that we all use all the time,
Right.
well, they're really not free. Those services are subsidized by the data they collect and the data they provide to advertisers.
And
Those
not that this has
advertisers
been in the news recently or anything like that, but yes, it has.
Right?
Last year, Facebook made almost $40 billion in ad revenues. What type of data does Facebook or Google have about you?
Every single place you've ever searched in Google Maps, they've got it.
The apps you've opened on Android down to the exact second you opened it.
What other data does Google have about you or anything else? Reward cards that what's used in Google Pay.
And maybe everything you've ever asked Google Assistant.
Every comment you've left on YouTube and every video you've watched.
And what else does Google know about you? Every Android app you've searched for or downloaded.
Every news article you've read on Google News.
Ads you viewed or visited in any of Google's products.
And all your Gmail files, including spam and trash.
So if you think you've been paranoid lately, maybe you're not paranoid.
Right?
Keep in mind that nobody stole any data. You
Right.
gave all this stuff up free.
Right. It's really amazing the amount of things. And I know James said he was going to train some police officers. A number of years ago, I used to do volunteer work for the APD here. And I showed them how to find all the stuff on Facebook about their potential, the recruits. And they didn't know how to do that before that. Now, this is a decade ago. But why are people giving all this information out?
Well, they're not necessarily giving it, but in their searches, they are allowing the data to be available.
Yeah, but they're posting information about themselves and storing information.
I agree. Just be careful, I guess. Always.
Kevin, thank you for calling in. Kevin's now on the air.
Yeah, hi. Just a quick question. I got a new-to-me laptop. It's only about 6 months old, but it's not brand new. And before I start it up and it starts running updates and all that, should I install my Kaspersky and my Hitman Pro and Malwarebytes on it? I'm a subscriber to all three of those, and I want to know if I should make sure the updates don't start before I install those or wait till the updates are finished before I install them.
I would install those first, and mostly because otherwise Microsoft, I would install all of them first before I'd let Microsoft go do its thing. Because once Defender starts going and does its downloads, it might lock out some other features that you're going to miss out on later.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's what I thought. I figured I'd just make sure that I turn all the automatic updates off and everything and wait till I finish installing all those three things before I go on.
Good plan.
Okay, great. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
That's also a great question for other people who are listening.
It is indeed.
Very informative.
And what can we do for you?
Good morning. I just got a brand new HP laptop. It has Windows 10, and the audio and video, after like maybe an hour, it slows down, and then I have to restart the computer.
When you say the audio or video slows down, you mean it actually, like the audio starts to go slower and slower?
Yeah,
and like that? Wow.
That's almost got to be a heat issue. Are you putting it on your lap or something, or putting it on a blanket or something like that?
Not at all. I have it on a hard surface table. And what I've done already, too, is I took the first laptop in, I returned it, and I got another one of the same model. And at first it was going okay, and then the same thing happened again. And that happens online and offline.
Okay. Are you on battery, or are you plugged
Usually
into the wall?
Plugged in. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't have a clue what
No.
could be wrong. I was going to tell you to exercise your warranty options, but it sounds like it's a problem perhaps inherent to that particular model. You might want to go ahead and take it back and ask them for a different model. I'm not sure where you got it, but
I had contacted the HP representative too, and he pretty much told me just to go ahead and take it back, and then I would thought I asked you guys, professionals too, for the last opinion before I actually did take it back.
Yeah,
Sure.
we're all shaking our heads. Take it back.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you for your call, Chris. Bye-bye.
This is probably why we sell the business class
Right.
of HP laptops.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I'm going to be picking you up in just a second, Ted, but we didn't ask a previous caller about what the model was.
Right.
We sell the business class laptops at Computer Corner, and they have much higher quality components in them than the home use ones, and they're not that much more money, and it's well worth the investment.
every manufacturer has those two different product lines. They have their, I hate to say home class, but
Consumer
there's
class.
consumer class, business class that has usually a better warranty and better components and things like that. But they've also got this value line that, obviously it's got a purpose because it is less expensive, but they don't always perform the same. In fact, they don't perform the same.
Ted,
Well, I have not a virus. I have something called slimware that keeps showing up every time I turn on the computer. It's a year old, and I have tried every which way to get rid of it. I've gone to Microsoft Windows, got their instructions, and it doesn't go away. What can I do?
did you go to Control Panel and you did an uninstall on it?
It doesn't show up when I go to Control Panel.
It doesn't show up in the programs there.
Then it's coming through your browser. It's auto-launching through your browser. I would get into Control Panel, get under Programs, go to your browser, and reset your browser to factory default.
Does that make sense?
Reset it to factory default.
Yes.
Yeah, now what that's going to do is it's going to wipe out all the add-ins that you have added or got added accidentally, because that happens to me all the time. But that means that you're going to have to put them back in, the ones that you want. So if you've got, for example, I'm just picking LastPass or something like that, which is an add-in, which actually is the password manager that I use, a free password manager. If you reset the browser, you're going to have to put that back in, and anything else that you yourself have put in there.
Well, I try not to put things. I try not to put things in. I used to.
It's an impossible task, Ted. They come sneaking up on you. And
Thank you. We'll see if it works.
Okay, do you know how to do that, Ted?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Good. Very good.
Call back if you have trouble. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you.
Every time you go somewhere, I know I just did this morning, and I'm not going to mention that the site, it's not a porno site, but that's not why I'm not mentioning it. But one of the news sites is keeps on asking me to allow them to do things. And this morning, accidentally, I clicked on allow and then allow notifications. And now I'm going to have to go home when I got to get out of here, because it was just before I left to come here, and take that out of there, because I don't want these notifications.
Right.
But everybody and his uncle is trying to get you to allow them to do different things, because it's all about the advertising.
Yep.
The Computer Corner show will be back in 2 weeks. We hope that you'll think of Computer Corner for all your hardware, software, service, and training needs.